Next man up here on 1025, Connor Newt, Nick Frazier in for you today. Jake Lyman off in Paris covering Vanderbilt women's basketball.
Oui.
How was that? Was that good?
That was pretty good.
Thank you.
I'm not French, but that sounded French.
I've been working on it. Happy Friday. Happy Halloween, Nashville. Perhaps America's most overrated holiday, but happy Halloween regardless.
Really think it's overrated?
I've never been a Halloween guy.
Neither have I. I feel like it's more of an underrated holiday.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not into the party scene that much, and I think it's an excuse for people my age to go out and do party things.
Sure.
If that makes sense, without getting into detail of what those things entail.
Adult candy.
I loved it when I was a kid because, as a kid, you dress up, you go trick-or-treating, you get free food from strangers. Now, as an adult who doesn't really like to do that stuff, it's kind of just a night where I just let everything else in the world play out.
Let your hair down, mellow out.
Yeah, I'd say we could watch sports tonight, but we don't have access to that anymore. Thank you, YouTube TV.
Oh, I'm a cable guy. See,
I knew you would be.
Again, no, don't cut the cord, folks. Stick with your cable. It works.
You seem like a cable.
Connor and I will be over at your house this weekend.
Yeah, we'll
Sure.
show up.
Just finished up the patio.
We'll show up. And it's a great slate of college football on Saturday. So
it kind of all starts tonight. Syracuse in North Carolina. Can Bill get his fourth win of the season?
Oh, yeah. That is certainly a game of all time. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly BI membership, where the buzz is about great service. Kind of a cold open here because it is Halloween. What is the best Halloween candy, Nick Frazier?
Oh, you struck a chord with me there, Connor.
I know you are because you're a foodie.
It's got to be some form of a candy bar, like a Snickers or a...
See, everyone I keep asking says Snickers. I asked Chip Walters the other day, and he says Snickers.
It has different levels to it. You have the peanut inside there. You have the caramel, however you pronounce it. And you get the chocolate on the outside. That's perfect. Or go with a big Three Musketeers.
Oh, just underrated.
Underrated candy bar. I'm a Kit Kat guy. Twix, it was there for me and it fell off. So I'd probably go top three would be Three Musketeers, Snickers, and Kit Kat.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Oh,
elite. Here's what you do. You get the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Throw them in the freezer for about 10 minutes. Then it's like ice cream. It's beautiful.
You're a freezer candy guy.
I love cold chocolate.
Interesting.
I don't know what it is. It just works for me. And then M&M's are classic. Yeah, it's just, but I'm also, I'm a huge fan of chili on Halloween night. Chili dogs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the move. I think that's the move tonight. As I'm going to be in the kitchen whipping that up.
Whipping up the chili.
Or my mom will, but
yeah,
we'll see. What's the best costume you've ever worn?
I dressed up as a homeless man one year.
That was yesterday.
No, well, it's kind of every day. No, I dressed up as a homeless man. I think I was 8. I was in 2nd grade. A lot of stuff happened in 2006 for me. So
I was 2, so I don't really remember that.
Yeah. So I remember I had a cardboard sign that said "We'll work for candy," and it was pretty funny. I had like a rolled up pant leg with I think it was a black and blue shirt. It was pretty neat. Yeah, it was a well-designed costume by myself.
Yeah, I think mine would probably have to be, this was right when Tony Romo was dying, like his last season with the Cowboys. So I ended up wearing a Cowboys-esque jersey and just being a zombie. So I just said I was Tony Romo.
That works.
It was pretty funny. But most of mine were like, what's the newest superhero movie coming out that year? I'll be that, or Star Wars or something like that, because I'm a nerd. But yeah, that's how it ended up. I'll tell you what the worst candy is. Candy corn.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Not a candy corn guy.
No, okay.
Hate you both.
You like candy corn?
I love candy corn, especially when it's mixed with peanuts. Love it. Love it. I just polished some off last night. So
you polished your candy corn?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
I like the ones that are shaped like the pumpkins. Those ones are okay.
Just too much sugar for me.
It's too sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan of that at all. Regardless, happy Halloween to everyone. And coming up at 9:45, I'll give you my irrational fear, as it is Halloween. And you both are going to make massive fun of me, but it is going to be funny. We begin with the Tennessee Titans, unfortunately. I don't really want to talk about them today, but here we are. Well, first, let me tell you what's going on through the show today. At 9:30, we're going to be joined by Vanderbilt women's soccer coach Darren Ambrose to talk about his season with us. Going to be a fun time there. And then at 10:30, our good buddy, Trey Wallace, Outkick college football reporter, going to join us. Got a lot of college football topics to talk about. The coaching carousel. Who's going to land those LSU, or not Ole Miss, but maybe Ole Miss.
Maybe.
Who's going to land LSU, Penn State, Florida, all of these jobs open across the country, hopefully Kentucky soon. Big matchups this weekend. Tennessee and Oklahoma in a playoff eliminator, not playoff game. Corey Curtis kept saying playoff game, and it was driving me insane. I was like, it's a playoff eliminator. Playoff entails postseason. That's my TED Talk for the day.
Okay.
But it drove me crazy. Playoff eliminator. And then, of course, Vanderbilt on the road against Texas in a game I think they could win.
I'm with you.
No, I don't think they could beat the Tennessee Titans, like I heard your god-awful take a couple of days ago.
I know. And it kind of was brought up this morning on Robbie and Rex Road indirectly. I mean, I had to defend it a little bit. I'm so far into this hole that I've dug, I have to defend it now.
Sometimes you just got to fill some airtime.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not filling airtime for me. I kind of think with the current roster, we're not going to get into this. Never mind. I'm stopping right now. We're not getting into this. Just not going to do it.
It's okay. The text line's blowing up. Reese's is king.
Really?
In this town. You're damn right, pal. It's the best there is.
Just mix it with vanilla ice cream and you got yourself a fun treat.
The best there was, the best there ever will be. Reese's peanut butter cups. We begin with the Tennessee Titans today. I wanted to ask the question. Obviously, we know the head coaching story of the Tennessee Titans this year. Brian Callahan comes in, is terrible, gets fired. Mike McCoy is the interim right now. Is not looking good for him to retain that job. And we didn't expect him to get that job anyway, but it's not looking good for him to be the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans next year. So I asked the question, regardless of who the coach is that steps into this building next year, whether that's Mike McCarthy or Matt Nagy or someone like that, or even someone newer like Joe Brady, is this next head coach already set up for failure? I mean, the front office has proven to be trigger happy. They are not afraid to make the most ridiculous move of all time, no matter the timing. And on top of that, I think you just from top to bottom have a horrible roster right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think free agency is going to take you from bottom of the barrel to contender. That's just not how it works. You're going to have a high draft pick. I would argue you're probably going to be investing in an edge rusher or a receiver in the first round. You're definitely going to have to draft a corner now high. You're going to have high draft picks, but still, that doesn't control the depth of your roster. And to be a successful team in the NFL, you got to have depth. Look at the top teams. Kansas City has depth. Buffalo Bills have depth. The Ravens are struggling this year, and they're kind of resurging. Big win last night against the Dolphins, to no one's surprise. They have depth. The Titans have no depth whatsoever. Look at their cornerback room. Your best corner is Jalen Armour Davis and Marcus Harris. Not great. So, all that to say, if this continues and the roster construction continues, is this next Titans head coach already set up for failure?
I disagree. There's obviously some optimistic viewpoints of this team, especially with a new coach in the waiting at some point. You just got to look at it from the perspective of if the Titans, offload a few players here and there going into the offseason, they'll have roughly over $100 million, right? Of cap room to use from. And you then have to go and sign players that are in that window of age, that age window of 26, 27 to 28, 29, like in that 4-year window. And those guys have to just be on 2-year deals or 3-year deals. You're looking at guys coming off rookie deals. For me, if I'm constructing this roster, you look at those guys coming off those rookie deals and see if you can get a little bit of production out of them to help build from the ground up. They're just a building block. They're not a core staple piece to this roster going forward. I mean, they may luck into being one of those guys, but at the same time, you can't look at it that way. You have to look at this from a small viewpoint, and that's better. There you go. I just look at this roster as not a obviously win now mode, but I told TD yesterday, I'm on to 2027. I don't want to sound like a negative Nelly where I'm all looking past 26. Sure, they may luck into winning 4 or 5 games next year, but that's still not going to win you a playoff game. So I'm still in the camp of looking at 27, acquiring draft capital after this season, I guess. Get some capital at the deadline if you can. And then after that, then go look forward to the offseason and see what you can build through the draft. And if you can get to 6 top 100 picks, that's great. If you don't, hopefully those top, I'd say 100 picks come in the 26 or 27 draft.
I actually tend to agree with you. I don't think they're immediately set up for failure as they walk into this new building, this new program.
Mm-hmm.
However, a lot is going to have to go right for them to be successful. You're going to have to hope that Chim DK and Cam Ward and Alec Iomanner and all your young guys take the next step into being those pieces of the future. You're going to have to hope Jeffrey Simmons, assuming he's not traded, which I don't think he will be, is still playing at a defensive player of the year level. You're going to have to hope that your front office makes the right decisions in the draft, bringing in pieces that you can build and some that are maybe even plug and play, some guys that you throw in and get immediate results out of at a young age. And you're also going to have to hope that in free agency, you fill some of the holes. I understand the Titans have a lot of holes, and I don't think all of them are going to be filled this time next year. It's going to be a process to rebuild. And quite honestly, I don't trust this front office to get the job done as long as Amy Adams-Strunk is in charge. However, the NFL is a league that is designed not for continuity. It's a league that's designed for the bottom of the barrel teams to be somewhat competitive the next year. Look at what's happened with the Cleveland Browns as of recently. Not right now, but a couple of years ago.
Right.
They had the number 1 pick. They drafted Baker Mayfield. A couple years later, they were in the playoffs knocking off the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look at the Washington Commanders recently. They were a bottom of the barrel team. They draft Jaden Daniels. Last year, they make the NFC Championship. Now, I'm not going to say that's going to happen for the Titans because they are significantly worse of a roster than the Commanders were. But it is something to look at when you say this is the kind of league that you can suck one year and suck not as much the next year.
Right. You can turn things around in one offseason if you do things right. I think that the Titans have that trajectory right now because of the opportunity of financial gain they have coming up this offseason and the $100+ million of cap room that they could potentially have. Now, you look at it from that, and then you say, you make a great point about Washington Commanders. You have core pieces like not Deebo Samuel, what you call it, the other wide
Terry
receiver.
McLaurin.
Thank you, Terry McLaurin. And you go draft a young guy in Ben Sinnott, the tight end.
Yeah.
Well, currently, right now, they have Zach Ertz, another core pillar that those veteran guys that you hoped that would have happened with the Titans when they grabbed their veteran guys to bring in, but it didn't work that way. So it's just more of throwing darts to the dartboard for the Titans right now. And if they can find those core pieces, and again, I think this is why everybody keeps pushing back on the whole Jeffrey Simmons opportunity of trading him, is because that is a core piece you can really have going forward. But at the same time, you're looking at a roster that's depleted to where you need something going forward, and that's draft capital. So yesterday when I talked to you about this, I was very indifferent about it. I was leaning more towards the trading option of Jeffrey Simmons because of what you can do with all those draft picks. If that is I call it the pressure price at the deadline. If there is a team that's willing to give up a first and maybe a third or something like that.
Yeah. On the Jeffrey Simmons front real quick, if you do trade him, you're probably trading him to a contender.
Right.
And if you get a first round pick from a contender, it's probably high 20s to low 30s.
Right. And if I'm a front office guy, you grab that first round pick
and you repurpose it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You repurpose it to see if you can get something better in 27.
Yeah. I agree with you. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you have thoughts on the Tennessee Titans, is the next head coach already set up for failure as we are on Halloween? I can't believe we're talking about this in October of the NFL season. That doesn't end until mid-February, but here we are. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll continue the conversation, get to some of your thoughts next. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on Next Man Up on 1025 The Game. Oh, this song brings back so much memories of childhood. Jason Big Joe will be broadcasting live at the all-new Circa Sportsbook Kentucky in the Mint Gaming Hall this Monday prior to the Monday Night Football game. The Monday night matchup is the Arizona Cardinals versus America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome back in. Next man up, Connor Newt, Nick Frazier in for Jake Lyman today, off in Paris, covering some Vanderbilt women's basketball. Stay tuned at 9:30 as Coach Darren Ambrose of Vanderbilt women's soccer will join us. They're having a great season, by the way, 13-3-1 on the year. What were you telling me during the break, Frazier? They're hosting a playoff game coming up here soon.
I think so. What Max was telling me, I have to double check on that, but they have the SEC tournament November the 4th is what I see here on their schedule. So recently getting their big win over South Carolina, 1-0. South Carolina ranked 17th in the nation, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
They have about 4 top 25 wins. So, I mean, this team's clicking on all cylinders. So this is something to really look out for if you're in the Nashville area.
We will address a lot of that with Coach Ambrose coming up next. And I'm going to try my best not to say Dean Ambrose because that's a former WWE wrestler. But regardless, should be a fun conversation. We are currently discussing, is the next Titans head coach set up for failure immediately upon entry? And a lot of you have some very interesting thoughts. And I want to get to those on our text line, 615-737-1025. Our text and phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. This is a very interesting text I'm going to read here for you, Frazier. 6641 says, set up for failure? No. Set up for success? No. Amy seems to love Brinker, and Brinker and Borgonzi will pick the new head coach and build something for him to work with for about 2 years. He'll get about 2 years to show progress and development. The new coach will have to earn any bit of success he finds by developing and progress the guys on the roster. So I don't think the next guy is set up to fail. I think he's set up to work his tail off and earn the right to stay. If he doesn't, the whole front office will be gone in another couple years. I think that's a very interesting point because it kind of points out that next season isn't entirely hingent on the head coach. And I don't think this season was entirely hingent on the head coach. The problem with this season is the head coach played too much of a role in losing these games. Mm-hmm. Brian Callahan's decision-making was an F-. It was awful. And that's not what you want to hear when you're trying to develop the number 1 overall pick at quarterback in Cam Ward. So I think the texter has a great point. This next coach is coming in to kind of stabilize things.
Sure.
That's why I think you need to hire someone with some experience, like Mike McCarthy or Matt Nagy, or I don't want to say it, but he has experience, Cliff Kingsbury. You need to bring in some guy that has experience in developing quarterbacks and playing with coaching top quarterbacks. I think Mike McCarthy is probably the perfect example of that. Maybe not the best coach of all time, but he's worked with Aaron Rodgers, who's a future first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion. He's worked with Dak Prescott, who maybe not a Hall of Famer, but has had his moments as the starting quarterback in Dallas.
Strong winning pedigree.
Yeah. So I think it would make sense to bring someone in like that. And the texter has a point. You got to come in and expect to get this team level. I don't want to say make them a contender because that may be realistic knowing the owner and the front office, but you got to come in and make this team level and coach for your job every single week because we know how quick trigger Amy works.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the next head coach that comes in here, and again, I'm going to reference the TD because he made a lot of really good points yesterday about the Titans. Say the next head coach, we got under the standpoint of, if this next head coach is a quarterback emphasized coach, is he going to be a leader for not just the quarterback, but for the team? And TD said it was, I'm paraphrasing a little bit. It's more through osmosis. It's Cam Ward emphasizing that leadership from the head coach. The head coach is obviously being the leader of men, but it's going through the franchise quarterback. If you can do that through the franchise quarterback, it exudes to the rest of the roster.
Yep.
And I think that's something you got to look at for the next head coach as well. Like if it's going to be I'm not going to say, I'm just going to use this for example. It's not Joe Brady, but say like a guy like Joe Brady, who is an offensive guru to some regard.
I'm about to tell you about Joe Brady here in a second.
Yeah.
Because I am heavy on the Joe Brady train.
Really?
I am.
For the Titans?
Yep.
Interesting. We'll get into that in a second. I'm very intrigued about this now. I mean, you mentioned Mike McCarthy. The more and more I keep thinking about all the boxes that need to be checked, I'm sure a lot of Titans fans would sign up for 12-5 every year and make a deep playoff push. I mean, that's essentially the Pittsburgh Steelers in a roundabout way, because I mean, they somehow always have a winning
Winning record.
Yeah, sorry about that. Winning record. They never seem to mess up in some aspects like that. They're always in the playoff contention. I think that's what the Titans are looking for. And Mike McCarthy's a guy that checks those boxes. I think the other flip side to all this, when Arthur Smith's name is mentioned on it,
There's another one.
is that he understands the front office. That's been the narrative
Yep.
that everyone keeps talking about, is he understands Amy Adams-Strunk. He understands some of these coaches that are on the squad right now, essentially. So that's that fold of it. My only issue is, and I still am apprehensive about it, can he develop a quarterback? And I don't care if people still push back about that. Whatever the quarterback situation was in Atlanta, it was Desmond Ridder, Marcus Mariota. Like, I get all that. But then he lucked out, in my opinion, in Pittsburgh. I mean, he did make Justin Fields look good to some degree, but then you have Aaron Rodgers and everything's fine.
All right, let me tell you about Joe Brady real quick.
All right, let's hear it.
Chase and I have gone back and forth on this. Chase wants Mike McCarthy,
okay,
or Arthur Smith, or someone that has experience. And I understand that argument because I would be okay with that too. My thing on Joe Brady is Brian Callahan what we thought he was? Look at Joe Brady's resume. Joe Brady was a key piece in developing Joe Burrow at LSU. He made Joe Burrow what Joe Burrow is today. Look at where he is now. He is at Buffalo. He is a key piece in developing Josh Allen and creating an MVP level quarterback. And you know what? You know why? Because he's calling plays. He's an offensive coordinator calling good plays and the kind of guy that you want to build your front office around, because I think he has that offensive mind. That's why I like Joe Brady. And I understand the argument that, well, you don't want a first-time head coach that claims to be an offensive guru calling plays. I understand that sentiment because you have battered Titan syndrome, to use a Vol term. However, I think that Joe Brady is different. And I would completely understand if they didn't hire him. This is just kind of my out-of-the-box thinking here. I think it would make sense for the timeline. I think it would help Cam Ward to have a guy that's developed MVP caliber quarterbacks, maybe future Hall of Famers. And he's had some time. I mean, he was with the Patriots. He was with the Panthers. He was with, obviously he's with the Bills now, and then won a national championship at LSU. I think it would be beneficial for Cam Ward to have someone who is actually like that. Brian Callahan claimed to be like that, but looking back on Brian Callahan now, he claims to work with all these quarterbacks, and this is no slight to him, but how much did he actually help Peyton Manning? How much did he actually help Matthew Stafford? How much did he actually help Joe Burrow if he's not actually calling plays?
You got him in the right direction. I think it's more on the player than it is the coach. I mean, I get your standpoint on Joe Brady. For me, you mentioned a team, and it's not an NFL team. It's LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, obviously, Chase mentioned yesterday about Peter Burns' Twitter account. He put out a tweet saying that something about the financial stipulations or whatever it is currently in college football, how it needs to be leveled out a little bit. If you're college football, if you're LSU and you want to go hire a coach, go hire Joe Brady, because personally to me, there's a little bit of proving ground he needs to prove. And I think if you did that in the SEC and probably the best caliber of college football right now, I'd go to LSU for that. And plus, I believe he's beloved at LSU, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that you win a national championship, people want you back. So I think that's the proving grounds for Joe Brady is to go back to LSU. That's just my personal opinion. But I mean, if he is an option in the NFL for the Titans, sure. I mean, I mentioned it a few weeks back, but it wasn't a definite name for me. I mean, still kind of on the solid train. I mean, some people are kind of talking me off of it, but this is just, it's one of those situations where you're trying to find the next big thing, and Brian Callahan was not the next big thing.
No, Brock Lesnar's the next big thing. Let's go to our phone lines very quickly. And I mean quickly. Welcome in our friend Trey, who's got a thought on the Titans' next head coach. Hello, Trey.
Hey, how y'all doing, guys?
Doing good.
Hey, I was just wanting to say, when they bring in the next coach, in the beginning, it'll probably be a failure because he's not going to have the component that he needs to start winning until he dismantle, what we have as far as a team. Because frankly, guys, we got too many third stringers, practice squad players. We keep picking up practice squad players. Our elite players stay hurt all the time. Not all the time, but It's going to be a challenge for him. But you know who I really like
Who's that, Trey?
as far as coaching ability? Coach Lee. I love Coach Lee. And I love Coach Lee because of a simple fact. It seems like he has the demeanor to instruct people to play the way that they need to play in order to win. And I think if he, came into the Titans, I think it would be good. Yeah, the first year will probably be bad, but I think he has everything we need as far as progressing in the future. And y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Trey. Yeah, interesting point there. And unfortunately, I don't have much time to react to it as we got to get going and get ready for Coach Darren Ambrose, but certainly make an interesting point there. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Titans throughout the show. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you got thoughts. But coming up next, Vanderbilt women's head soccer coach, Coach Darren Ambrose, will join Nick Frazier and I to talk about their successful season. That's all coming up next here on Next Man Up 1025 The Game. Looking for a great spot to pregame before the Titans game at Nissan Stadium? Stop by JBJ's and pregame with 102.5 The Game. JBJ's has the best food on Broadway, cold beer and cocktails, and stunning skyline views, including two epic rooftops. Pre-game show is brought to you by Parman Tractor and Equipment and Circus Sportsbook Kentucky. Welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you. And we welcome in the head women's soccer coach of Vanderbilt Soccer, Coach Darren Ambrose, joining us on our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com to talk about their season. Coach, what's up?
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate the opportunity.
Appreciate you coming on. It's going to be a blast to talk about you. So I want to talk about your season so far. You guys are off to a 13-3-1 season. Got some key top 25 victories this year. 8-0-1 at home. What's been the key to success for you guys this season?
I think the players themselves are a very tight-knit group, and I think there's a level of trust and belief in each other. I mean, you get past the athleticism and the technical ability of the team and the tactics. I think a lot of that exists in the SEC, but I think the X factor for us is this is a team that functions as an elite team, not just a group of individuals.
Agreed. Yeah, I think in watching you guys play a little bit on the SEC network, I think you guys are playing team ball, and that's probably the most important quality to have in a team. Speaking of qualities, when you're looking for key players to play in your starting lineup, what are the kind of qualities you look for in a Vanderbilt soccer player?
Awareness. There's a certain level of awareness of time and space, technical ability as well. Composure. Honestly, the game is so fast that anyone who can slow the game down in their mind and play without panic. We want to play with the ball, not without it. So we want players that want the ball at their feet. And we've got a lot of them on the field, and when they play together like they do, that they're fun to watch.
On the line here is Darren Ambrose, Vanderbilt women's soccer coach. Coach Ambrose, just looking at this team overall, 4 top 25 wins this season, 10 clean sheets on the season as well. What's working well defensively for your side?
I think we defend with every player. Obviously, we've got the goalkeeper of the year, in Sarah Jelko. We've got a mature back line, but everybody on our team, whether you're a forward or not, everybody has to be committed to defending. And, we like to defend actually with the ball, and we generally have more of the ball than the other team. We dominate possession in most games. So our first line of defending is keeping the ball itself. And then the second part of that success, I think, is our ability that everybody on the field is committed to winning the ball back once we lose it.
How important has Sydney Watts been for your team this year, being the SEC Forward of the Year?
Yeah, she's been obviously critical. I think last year she had a great season, and that kind of maybe got lost a little bit with some of the other successes of our players. And a couple obviously went on to pro careers this year, and maybe they took a little bit more of the light. But Sid scored 9 goals last year. And this year we knew we'd need more from her because we have a pretty young group around her. So her ability to manage that expectation and pressure and deliver what she has this year and lead the SEC is full credit to her and her maturity. But she's somebody that gets a yard of space. She's probably going to get one on goal.
Coach Darren Ambrose of Vanderbilt women's soccer is with us. Coach, you've played a long, grueling season this year. Obviously, the SEC is a complete powerhouse when it comes to women's soccer. But you kind of harped on your team's chemistry and how well they play together. How do you maintain that chemistry heading into the postseason?
Well, I think, as a coach, you really want the team to run itself at this point in the year, right? If as coaches we're still trying to finagle things and control things, I think then it's not going to go as well. So really, it's about trusting them now, right, and letting them. They're in control. They're steering the ship. We're just going to make sure they get to the field on time and wear the right colors. I think they've developed the relationships. We spend enough time together. I think all the work is done in the first 2 months of the season. And when you get to this part of the year, the players have to lead the team. And I think that's what we're finding, not just captains, but all the way through. We've got freshmen that aren't afraid to step up and speak their mind. We've got other seniors who are non-captains who are setting an example, and they're not afraid to call each other out. They're not afraid to demand more of each other. So at this point, to be honest with you, I think as a coach, it's more, can we stay out of their way and let them continue to do what they have started to do, in particular the last probably 6 weeks.
Last one for you here, Coach. After that Tennessee game, a number 4 team that is probably one of the best in the nation, minus you guys as well. What did you learn from your squad in that, I guess, high-ranked matchup?
I think we learned that, one, they can manage pressure, and two, they can meet the moment. We had a lot riding on it. It is a rivalry game. It's something that, we know Tennessee are very, very good, but so are we. And, our attitude in the last, probably the second half of the season, and it's not really about who's on the other side of the field, whether it's Tennessee, Arkansas, Missouri. It doesn't matter who we're playing. We really believe in ourselves. And in that game going into it, we knew that same thing is that if we can be who we are, then it doesn't matter right now what's going on the other side. So I think it did show though that they can manage expectation and that they can perform in front of we had 1,700 people, pretty big crowd, nationally televised game, and they showed up, and they weren't intimidated by the environment or the opponent. And I think it showed that there's a competitive maturity to this group that has grown through the year, and it was nice to see that shown at the highest level on national television.
Coach Darren Ambrose of Vanderbilt women's soccer. They play the postseason. The SEC tournament begins on Tuesday, November 4th. That's this coming Tuesday. Coach, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us, and can't wait to see what you guys do down the stretch.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me.
Coach Darren Ambrose of Vanderbilt women's soccer. He was fun.
Yeah,
that went a lot better than I thought it would from my point, because I don't know too much about Vanderbilt women's soccer.
Well, I'll tell you right now, all you got to do is win. It makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, I have enough sports knowledge to know that if you win, good things are going to happen.
Indeed.
So it looks like Vanderbilt women's soccer is doing that. They've got, looking at their schedule and the box scores, they've got some very impressive victories over in the SEC, which is a grueling conference to play across all sports, but women's soccer, one of them. I have a friend of mine is a first-team All-American over at South Carolina. So
wow.
she's a beast. Anyways, appreciate Coach Ambrose for joining us. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you have thoughts on anything, we will get to that coming up next. And also coming up next, it's Spooky Day. It's Halloween. It's time for me to come clean about an irrational fear I have to you. It's something that I'm embarrassed by, but this is an honest show. So we'll talk about it coming up next. Here on Next Man Up, Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on 102.5 The Game. See, I don't do horror movies really, but this is one I can handle. These are good movies.
Well, we're getting ready to talk about your irrational fear. So what's more scary than Michael Myers?
Ashton Genty.
True.
Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. The Commodores will take on Texas tomorrow. Pregame begins at 9:30 a.m. on 94.9 The Fan. Note that change because the Predators will be on 102.5 The Game. Kickoff at 11 a.m. Vanderbilt brought to you by Gary Force Acura, Jimmy Kelly Steakhouse, and Smoky Mountain Tops. Again, welcome back in. Next man up, Connor Newton, Nick Frazier. Okay, it is Halloween. It is a day that I consider very overrated. And as a texter pointed out to me, and this is probably true, he says, I used to feel the same in college, and then I had kids, and now Halloween is back. So that'll probably be the same for me. If I have kids and they celebrate Halloween the way I did when I was a kid, then it'll be a good time.
Or you just never stop being a kid, and it's always great.
I do have the baby face, so I could keep rolling with that. So it's time for me to come clean about my embarrassing, irrational fear. So for the last 20 years or so, I have had a phobia of Halloween decorations. I don't like them. I can't go into Party City or Spirit Halloween or anything. It's not the decorations, it's the animatronic things that move.
Okay.
I don't like them because when I was maybe 1 or 2, my mom took me into a Party City. I was in the shopping cart. She rolled over a cord and this mummy jumped out in front of me. And ever since then, it's been a phobia of mine. I can't do it. I don't like it. So that's since then, I can't do it. I don't
picture it now.
I don't go to haunted houses. I don't do that. Now, if I'm at an amusement park, that's different because I'm in a safe and secure place. But I don't like going to Spirit Halloween or Party City or even your local Target. I can't do it.
Interesting.
It's my irrational fear. So that's my story. It's embarrassing, but this is a safe space, and I expect to be torched on the text line. 615-737-1025 is the phone number.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know more and more about you every day. I guess
I don't like it.
I know what I'm doing every day I walk in the studio now.
So if one of you comes up behind me with like a mask, I will punch you in the face.
Okay. Well, you know how I feel now when people come up behind me and they just tap me on the shoulder. I get jump scared.
Or come up behind you with a megaphone.
Yeah, I get jump scared. It's all good.
It's my irrational fear. I've never liked it. I can't. I mean, I can walk around the neighborhood. There's a house in my neighborhood that has like 8 different ones.
Sure.
And I can see it because it's outside and it's an open air space. And I know it's not real. And look, I know none of them are real, but I just don't like it. It's like a phobia of mine. You know how people have claustrophobia or
I don't like elevators. I'm claustrophobic and I don't like elevators.
I'm not afraid of a lot of things. I'm not afraid of heights. I love roller coasters. So I'll go on anything. I'll do anything.
Pass.
Yeah. I'll do anything there. When I go to St. Louis, we go on the Gateway Arch. You know, you look down at the top, you're overlooking the entire city. I think that's awesome. I'm not a big airplane guy, but that's an extreme fear of heights. But like minor heights, I'm okay with. Halloween decorations is where we draw the line, apparently.
Interesting.
Just not a fan.
Maybe one day you get over the phobia. Maybe one
day. I still sleep with a blankie, so that's. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh!
Absolutely not.
I'm just kidding.
Woo. Scared me for a second, Connor.
I'm still a man.
Sure.
I'm a man.
Yeah. To me, I don't want to get off the Halloween topic, but you know, we had some callers before Darren Ambrose called in talking about the Titans.
Yeah.
That to me, that's a phobia. That's a big phobia for me.
That is a phobia that my team will never succeed ever. My fear is I reached my peak when I was 8. In 2011, obviously, the Cardinals won the World Series.
Sure.
In 2012, Kentucky won the national championship. I fear I will never get back to that high.
It'll happen.
I doubt it.
If you just enjoy a new sport like me with NRL, you'll
find something new.
Yeah.
Why do you think I like wrestling? Fake sports.
You never know.
I wonder if they have the irrational fear of Halloween decor.
Well, on the text line 3337, I took my little daughter to Party City the other day, and she stepped on every animatronic in the building.
Thank you.
So
yes, thank you for flexing that your little daughter is not afraid of this stuff, and I am.
It's more like
I
when
appreciate
the
it.
kids are smaller, I feel like they enjoy the loud noises and movements.
I didn't.
Yeah. Well,
What the hell is wrong with me?
Well, for you, I think it was more the jump scare you caught off guard. I think this was more of an anticipated thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't do scary movies either.
Interesting.
Like, okay, I can handle the stupid stuff.
Sure.
Like he just played Michael Myers coming back. I can handle that. Or Jason Voorhees or, Freddy Krueger, all that stupid. Pennywise the Clown, whatever.
Yeah.
I do not do like the Conjuring stuff,
Yeah,
the possession stuff, because that's very real.
Stuff that's based on a true story.
Because that's very real.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
very real to me.
Demonic feeling to it for sure.
I don't like that.
Jeremy in Clarksville said spider webs. Not scared of spiders, but the webs freak me out.
Walking into one is a terrifying feeling.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Look, I like walking in the garden, and from time to time we get like one of the spiders that's in the garden that go from branch to branch, and you walk right through it. Yeah, I don't do well with that.
Yeah, no, I'm not afraid of bugs. I've never been afraid of I don't have arachnophobia, I think is what it's called, when you're afraid of spiders. I actually think spiders are cool. Now, if I saw like a brown recluse, I'd freak the hell out. But
poisonous, yeah.
Yeah, very poisonous,
don't
very dangerous.
Yeah.
Don't talk to them. But I don't know why. Halloween decorations, where I draw the line.
Interesting.
No, I'm not afraid of Christmas, if that's what you're thinking. I'm not afraid of Christmas trees.
That's it. Are you afraid of Santa Claus?
No.
Oh.
Santa's very real, by the way.
Okay.
For the kids out there.
Oh, Sam in the Burrow says, being a Bills fan, I never wanted to lose a coach when things are good. No one does saying that I believe we need to see him. Joe Brady as a head coach position in college before we give him the keys to a pro NFL team. I think there would be a smart decision for all coordinators if possible. Titans need to shorten contracts. Head coaches 2 years with incentives. If coach reaches expectations, sign a longer contract. If there is nothing less of a buyout. I'm all for that. Comment. I know we were talking Titans earlier. That caught my eye real fast. Sorry about that.
I mean, we can segue to the Titans for about 2 minutes.
I'm just when I see something, I go directly to it. So I apologize.
You're like a golden retriever.
Yeah. This is a spot on take by Sam in the Burrow, because I feel like 2-year deals, you got to have prove it deals. And unfortunately, the reason why they don't work is primarily because everybody wants to be fat and happy. They want to have future security of their financial gain. It just doesn't work that way anymore, unfortunately. 2 years is the right sweet spot for a guy like Joe Brady.
I think I'm on board with that take, actually. I would like to see how Joe Brady plays out in college. Maybe he goes back to LSU. I don't know if he will, because he's kind of beloved there, and I don't know if he wants to taint his reputation. However,
he can't really taint it if he actually succeeds.
LSU down in the Bayou, they're having some major problems, and we'll get into this more on the other side. But if you missed the news yesterday, LSU fired their athletic director. So now they are one of the few SEC universities without a school president.
Mm-hmm.
They do not have an athletic director anymore. They don't have a head football coach. Things are not looking good in Baton Rouge right
Death
now.
Valley's looking pretty
dead.
Yeah,
there you go.
Dead.
There you go. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Real quick, Devin and Dixon, making me feel a little bit better about myself. I absolutely do not, in all caps, do the paranormal activity or conjuring type movies. No. Absolutely not. I stay away from those. They're very real to me. They're real. It has happened. 0374 says, hope you're not afraid of girls. No, I'm not. I'm doing rather well for myself.
It's unconfirmed. We have yet to confirm yet.
Unconfirmed. Well, sometimes when Parker throws on the dress after hours, I get a little bit scared, but that's not because of I think he's a girl. It's just a scary sight to see. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you got more takes to make fun of my irrational fear of Halloween decorations. But coming up next, it's time to get into the college football conversation. I want to talk a lot about the coaching carousel. These open jobs, LSU, we just kind of hit on a little bit. Florida, Penn State. What do all of these have in common? And there's a lot. But what sets them all apart as well? That's coming up next here on Next Man Up. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. Talking a little bit of college football, shall we? Coaching carousel has been something to behold so far this season. And obviously we're not going to figure out who's going where for some time, but it is kind of fun to go down this rabbit hole of, well, if this happens, then this can happen, and this can happen, and this can happen. And we'll get into that in just a second. Real quick, let me tell you, this Sunday, the NFL game of the week is the Jaguars versus the Raiders at 3:05 on 94.9 The Fan. NFL game of the week is presented by Circa Sportsbook Kentucky and Massaro in 12 South. So, Nick Frazier, the 3 marquee jobs that come to mind that are open in college football. LSU, who has just fired Brian Kelly this week. Florida, who fired Billy Napier last week. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
That was awesome.
2 weeks ago.
That was awesome.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, Nick Frazier just punched his mic with his chin.
Pretty mad about it, just because Mississippi State could have easily won that game. They're in field goal position, and they chose to try to get it closer
Mississippi
and
State.
just run the ball. I mean, this team could be undefeated right now.
Yeah, they could.
Or at least one loss.
Yeah. I mean, you should have beat Texas.
Should have beat Texas. Should have beat Tennessee. Should have beat Florida. Should have, could have, would have. Had no chance against
We could do
A&M.
that all day.
Yeah, had no chance against A&M. That's besides the point. High school coaches, college coaches that are open right now.
So LSU, Florida, and then, of course, Penn State.
Yep.
Who've quick trigger happy on James Franklin. The more I look back at it, the more I'm like, they should have at least let him finish the season.
No,
Really?
it would have gotten sour. I think so. Even though that was his dream job, I think that situation would have it was already sour, to be honest with you. You lose to UCLA like that. Yeah, you just can't do that. Well, at a Power 4 school that coming into the season, they were a top 3, top 4 team, and then they just fall off a cliff like that. Nah, it doesn't work.
So I'm going to go out on a limb
Sure.
and say that all 3 of these coaches next season will be coaching somewhere. I think Franklin, ironically, will find his way into one of the jobs I just mentioned.
Uh-huh.
I think he finds his way to Florida.
Oh, I don't. I think I've been hearing a lot of stuff on Twitter and reading stuff.
Virginia Tech is kind of the
Tech.
front runner, but
yeah,
and I could totally see him going there as well. But I think Florida makes sense for him in that I don't think Florida is going to go for another G5 coach.
right.
The Billy Napier was, let's not play revisionist history. A couple of years ago when Billy Napier was hired, he was the #1 G5 coach candidate in the nation. So it looked like a home run hire on paper for Florida. And then obviously it went stale. I think Florida wants an established guy, a guy that they know can come in and probably win immediately. James Franklin, I think, is that guy. I don't think Brian Kelly would do it. I don't think we'll ever see him in the SEC again because he's proven he can't really compete.
Right.
I do think Brian Kelly ends up at Penn State. I think he does enough and, shakes enough hands and kisses enough babies to find his way into Happy Valley. But as for Florida, I think James Franklin makes sense. A lot of people are going to say Lane Kiffin, and a lot of people will say Lane Kiffin for LSU. And we'll get into Lane Kiffin here in a second, but long story short, I wouldn't leave Ole Miss if I was Lane Kiffin.
No.
I think it's too good of a job right now. The thing with Ole Miss is Lane Kiffin can go 9-3, 10-2 every year, and that fan base and those boosters will be satisfied. At LSU and Florida State, you can't do that. There are national title expectations year in and year out. So, and quite frankly, right now, I think Ole Miss is a better job than Florida is. I think Ole Miss has the tools and the NIL money and, the uniforms to lure in some top talent in the portal and recruiting. And I think Lane Kiffin can absolutely be the guy there. For Lane Kiffin, and I heard Parker talking about this yesterday on the George Blaster show, ironically, it's a matter of, does he want to put his legacy on the line or go win a national championship? And that's not to say he can't do it at Ole Miss, but I think he has a lot better chance of doing it at LSU than he does at Ole Miss. However, I think Ole Miss makes more sense for him. You also got to factor in he has some family stuff going on in Ole Miss.
Yep.
His daughter attends there, and his daughter and him, they have a good relationship now, a very good relationship, but
Sure.
in the past they haven't. I think his family is established at Ole Miss. They're in Oxford. They live there. They're happy there. I think Lane Kiffin is good where he is at Ole Miss.
Look, if there's a spot for Lane Kiffin to leave Ole Miss, which would be great for me as a State fan, but
You'd love it.
I would love it. Yeah. But if there's a place, destination that could possibly have him for years to come, it'd be Florida. Primarily because Lane Kiffin, he just fits the mold of a Florida Gator in a roundabout way. That's a program that's been yearning for a winning pedigree coach. Obviously, you could have held on to Dan Mullen, but you wanted to go on towards Billy Napier. Still, that remains. I don't understand how that took place, but whatever. I think Florida is the spot for Lane Kiffin, even though he went on McAfee's show last week and said, look, I don't dictate my moves as a coach off money. I never have, never will. A little bit of that's, I'd say, a little hubbubaloo a little bit, but I mean, at the same time, you got to think of his agent's probably thinking, no, this is definitely a money thing. I don't know what you're doing, because that takes money out of his pocket as well. Florida, for me, all these coaching carousels, I go Florida be Lane Kiffin. I still think, well, primarily because the Brian Kelly firing, it ruffled some feathers for Florida State.
Yeah.
I still think Mike Norvell is out the door.
That's another
there.
one.
And if that is the case, if Mike Norvell is canned before James Franklin says yes to Virginia Tech, I think that's where James Franklin goes, Florida State.
Chase and I were talking about this the other day, and I think he raised a point I didn't think about, and I'm having trouble getting on board with it, but I can honestly see it happening on some level. If Mike Norvell is fired from Florida State, do you think Florida State would give Jimbo Fisher a call?
No, absolutely not. I don't think Jimbo Fisher wants to really coach. I mean, I don't know Jimbo Fisher firsthand. I just, when you get paid X amount of dollars to sit on your tush every day from A&M with all that oil money sitting in thank you, all that oil money sitting in your bank account, why? I mean, you're doing probably 1 or 2 radio hits a day on whatever radio station it is, and you're going to play 9 holes or 18 holes of golf 4 or 5 times a week. Why in the world would you want to go back into coaching when obviously he probably still wants to coach in a roundabout way, maybe, but at the same time, you could easily just be an analyst for somebody and or just give your 2 cents about the current state of college football.
He's on ACC Network, if I'm not mistaken.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there's your 2 cents you're getting from Jimbo Fisher every once in a while. I don't see any. If I'm a current college program, I don't want to go after Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I just think, obviously, he didn't really.
He's been out of the game for 2 years.
Right. He didn't adapt with the times when it came to the NIL and all this transitioning of all that. So I'm kind of out on Jimbo. Maybe his philosophies still work on the field, but I don't know if he's up for the challenge of the portal and NIL and managing all the financials of it all, because then now he has to operate under a general manager. That's something he didn't really have to do, air quotes, under the old BCS era into the early college football playoff.
That's a great point by you, because look at the coaches right now that currently have jobs that are refusing to adapt with the times. There's one that comes to mind over in Clemson, South Carolina, named Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney has refused to adapt with the NIL times, thinks he's higher than now, and look at his season right now. He's got 4 losses. He's going to miss the playoff. They're going to be playing in the Liberty Bowl or something like that. There are others as well, but I'm kind of going down the rabbit hole of playing these hypothetical scenarios, and we can do this on the other side too.
Sure.
What if Steve Sarkisian leaves Texas for the NFL, like the reports have said he's going to? What if Marcus Freeman leaves Notre Dame for the NFL? What if, you just did one, Mike Norvell gets fired? Who takes the Arkansas job? Will Kentucky ever fire Stoops and cure my depression? We could play this game for hours, but
absolutely,
there's so many moving parts on here. And honestly, I think a lot of it hinges on one guy, and that's Lane Kiffin.
So you're basically saying Lane Kiffin's going to set the market.
Basically.
Interesting.
I think so. Assuming if he leaves, he's going to. Now, a lot of coaches have signed extensions. Like you saw Matt Rule yesterday, signed a 2-year extension. So that probably knocks him out of the Penn State job. Kurt Signetti signed a massive extension a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Among his talks, coaches are going to start signing extensions. So if Ole Miss came out today and said Lane Kiffin has signed a 2-year extension with the Rebels, I would not be surprised.
Interesting.
Because I think they want to keep him, and I think he would like to stay there.
Let's get into that on the other side.
Let's do that. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Hold on for me, Chris. I'll get to you on the other side. If you want to chime in on the coaching carousel conversation, lots of open jobs, lots of hypothetical scenarios we can play, and we'll do that coming up next here on Next Man Up on 1025 The Game. There you go. Michael Jackson, baby. Next man up, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Welcome back in. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you. Jake Lyman out in Patty covering Vanderbilt women's basketball. Should be a fun time for them this weekend. It's probably like 4 in the afternoon right now. But
yeah, I believe France is 6 hours ahead.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. Maybe he's checking out a PSG game while he's out there.
Maybe, actually. Yeah, it is in season.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting.
I think they are in season.
They are.
FIFA Masterclass when I play with them. We're discussing the coaching carousel in college football and how much fun, first of all, it is to talk about. But the hypothetical situations. What if Steve Sarkisian leaves for the NFL, we'll say? What if Marcus Freeman leaves for the NFL? Who takes those jobs? And a texter on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, Jeremy in Clarksville, says, what program is going to replace Saban's coach rehabilitation? Meaning, what program is going to be just the supplier of head coaches throughout the nation? You look at the Saban coaching tree. Lane Kiffin obviously comes from that. Steve Sarkisian, Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning, all of these top head coaches across the nation come from that program. I think he's asking which program is going to replicate that. And to be honest with you, I don't know if there is a program that can replicate that. But if you were to ask me who I think could come close, I think it's Georgia. I think Kirby Smart is has built something down there as far as, coaching.
Sure.
Maybe not Mike Bobo is the example, but the defensive coordinator out there is obviously very good. I could see him getting a head coaching job. You have assistants out there that I think could get head coaching jobs, and maybe not this year, but in the future. What made Saban's replication so interesting was Dan Lanning was a graduate assistant and made his way up to head coach, became the defensive coordinator at Georgia, and then it became the head coach at Oregon. And he's maybe the best coach in the entire nation. You could make an argument. Lane Kiffin obviously had his journey before Alabama as the offensive coordinator, but it redefined him so he could take the Ole Miss job and be successful there. Kirby Smart was defined by Alabama and, again, is maybe the best coach in the entire nation. I don't know if you can replicate that for a program today, but Georgia, I think, would be my pick to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia, you're right. They're kind of already there. The only pushback for that is the consistency defensively. I think that's the only issue because under Saban, we also saw at the latter ends of his career with Alabama, things were starting to fall off a little bit if it came from the quarterback play, offensive line, whatever it may be. I think Georgia is that replication of that, like you're alluding to. Maybe, I mean, would you ever see Kirby Smart move off of Georgia?
Absolutely not.
No. Okay. I don't know. If things kind of
that's a top 3 job in the country.
Yeah.
I don't think you could ever move off of that. Let's go to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I promised I would. Vandy Chris on our line wanted to talk about the coaching carousel. Chris, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Generally, I'm at work at this time, so I'm a first-time listener, and I want to jump in on this. I don't think LSU is all that attractive of a job right now. Because if you look at what's going on there, they have no university president. Their AD, it was announced last night, is out.
Mm-hmm.
You have the governor playing politics, who, by all accounts, just started last year when Scott Woodward refused to rehire Will Wade. And the governor was mad about that, and now he's cutting the AD's throat. This reminds me of Tennessee in 2017, when you had Philip Fulmer in the background sniping Blackburn, who was the sitting AD, in his coaching search. And it's just not an attractive job. There's not a head coach with any reputation, Lane Kiffin, James Franklin, etc., that want to walk into that situation. It's just not going to happen. Lane Kiffin, it was reported last week that Ole Miss matched their $31 million offer for him. And he had a team meeting last week before the Oklahoma game. He's not going anywhere. I don't think Lane Kiffin sets the market. I think James Franklin to Arkansas, they're going heavy in on him, just like they tried to in 2014 or 2013. I mean, they tried to hire him then. Arkansas is all in on James Franklin. I think he sets the market at Arkansas, and everybody else falls in line. I'll hang up and listen while you guys talk about it. Just wanted to give you those thoughts.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for calling. Interesting points there.
It's a great call.
That is a great call. I see his point on LSU not being an attractive job. There are a lot of politics being played there. Like he said, last night it is reported that the governor and the athletic director, Scott Woodward got into a got into a dispute, and the athletic director is out. They have no university president, so they have no one overlooking the entire university. That said, LSU is still a premier destination in college football. They have maybe the loudest fans in all of sports. I still think someone is going to look at that and say, I can revive this program.
If I'm a free agent coach per se, I'm saying, gimme. This is a king's ransom offer. Like, it wouldn't be the university offering you the money. You'd be the one, like we're talking about earlier about Lane Kiffin. Is he setting the market? Whatever coach wants that LSU job, he's going to say, give me whatever you got, and I want X amount of dollars. And unfortunately, LSU is going to be put into a situation where they got to pressure hire. They have to hire somebody.
They are pressure. Not. I promise you, they're not going to go G5.
Oh, no.
Unless it's like they really, really love John Sumrall.
Or Alex
Golesh. But I think they're going to try and get someone, maybe lure someone already established to take that job. Kind of like what they did with Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
Like maybe they go after, like a Sharon Moore or Ryan Day or someone like that that's already established. Now, if I'm Ryan Day, I'm not moving off of Ohio State. But I think they try to throw the bag at someone like that. How successful it is, I don't know. He also made an interesting point there. James Franklin to Arkansas.
Yeah.
I think my pick for Arkansas would honestly be John Gruden. I could see that coming because Gruden's expressed interest in returning to coaching, and he's always been adamant he wants to coach in the SEC.
Yeah.
Arkansas doesn't really have much to lose. They can afford to take a guy with no college experience, head coaching, that is. I think that would be a great fit, honestly. But he does raise an interesting point. If Arkansas wants to win now and go all in the portal and even recruiting-wise, James Franklin might be a good pick.
Yeah, look, I'll probably ruffle some feathers when I say this. If James Franklin were to go to Arkansas, I think it would be not a disaster hire. It would just be a bad choice on his part if he agreed to that. Because the SEC is
it's going to be humbling.
It's a lot stronger. It's a lot more difficult to win now than it was when you were with Vanderbilt. I'm sorry to say that to you, James Franklin. It's tough. It's really tough. So the fact of the matter is, if you're going to coach Arkansas, you're better off coaching in the ACC.
Yeah.
Because, again, we're in the South, so you can say SEC is king when it comes to stuff like this. But SEC and Big Ten, they're neck and neck for the most part. Those are the top two Power Four, conferences that really run all of college football. But when it comes to James Franklin, I think he's reached the level of coaching to where you got to go to the ACC.
Let me throw a hypothetical at you.
Sure.
And there's one coach that I think we haven't talked about that I think is going to get some conversations. And I don't think he leaves his current job, but let me throw this at you. Let's say Marcus Freeman decides he wants to leave for the NFL, leave Notre Dame and go be the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Not actually, but let's say he does that. If you're Notre Dame, do you give Clark Lee a call?
I mean, he's got some DNA up there.
Exactly.
He understands the Irish mentality. But again, it's more about when you go back to the NFL with Cliff Kingsbury, the Titans, it'd be more of like, what can you tell me, Tennessee, for me to go to coach the Titans? Same thing with Clark Lee, in my opinion. He's built this program from literally the studs up. What can Notre Dame offer him that Vandy cannot? Obviously, they're an independent school.
Notre Dame can offer a whole lot. Vanderbilt can't.
I understand that, but he's built so much here. Why would he want to pick up and leave to go to Notre Dame, which, again, a great university, but at the same time, I think what he has established at Vanderbilt here in Nashville is something you can replicate it, but not to this degree, if that makes sense.
I hear you. And look, he's beloved in this city.
He's born and raised here, man.
Born and raised. He played at Vanderbilt. That's why I say I don't think he would leave that job. However, if Notre Dame were to call, that is, to many, the job of jobs in college football. And you get a lot off of your plate. You don't have to play in the SEC anymore. You don't have to play in a conference anymore. You can schedule who you want. You're going to be on national television every single week. They have a great fan base. They're a lot easier for them to get into the college football playoff as they don't play in a conference.
Right.
And like you said, he's got some blood there. He was the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame before he came here. So I think it would make sense if Notre Dame were to try and offer Clark Lee. Again, this is completely hypothetical. I personally don't think Marcus Freeman would ever leave Notre Dame, nor do I think he has reason to. It came out this week that both Penn State and Florida both gave Marcus Freeman a call, and he hung up immediately. So I think that kind of says a lot to where his interest level is at leaving Notre Dame. But he has come up in rumors about maybe possibly leaving to take an NFL coaching job. So figured I'd throw that hypothetical at you.
It's interesting. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities for guys like Marcus Freeman and Steve Sarkisian to make the jump from college to pros.
I don't think Sarkisian would translate well in the NFL.
No, and I think after his little message he had after the Mississippi State game about his people put out a statement saying this is all false, whatever. Yada,
I don't think he would. I think Marcus Freeman would translate perfectly.
Yeah,
but I don't think Sarkisian would translate. He's a college coach to me.
If it happens, it happens.
But if it happens, it happens. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you've got more college football coaching carousel thoughts. College football thoughts in general. We got some big games this weekend. Tennessee and Oklahoma in a playoff elimination game. Basically, whoever loses is probably out of the 12-team playoff. Vanderbilt on the road taking on Texas, which I could honestly see Vanderbilt winning that game. But coming up next, our good buddy Trey Wallace from Outkick college football reporter, is going to join us. We're going to ask him some about this coaching carousel conversation because I think it's interesting. And we'll talk about the games coming up this weekend. That's all right here up next on Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game, Connor Newt, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you on this Halloween Friday. Should be a fun night tonight. Be safe. Talking a little bit of college ball. And to help us do that, we welcome in our good friend, Outkick senior college football reporter Trey Wallace to the program to talk a little college ball with us. Trey, good morning.
Happy Halloween, I guess. Like, this has been one of the wildest weeks I've seen. I guess they're having their own kind of just in Baton Rouge.
Right. So let's start right there, Trey. Baton Rouge, LSU. The job is obviously open as Brian Kelly was fired after the A&M blowout on Saturday. Then last night, it comes out that LSU is firing their athletic director. The situation seems to be in a lot of hot water. So I guess my question to you is, how attractive do you think that job is now?
So it's going to be twofold in this situation. It's going to be who does, and by the way, this search is going to have to happen pretty quick for an athletic director. Usually some of these schools have time. So, I mean, you're going to have an interim. Okay, I'll lay it out first. They don't have a president right now. They don't have an athletic director, and obviously they don't have a head coach. So you got to figure out which order are you about to go down. Because in my opinion, if you're going to hire a head coach, you need to have your permanent athletic director first, because you don't want to walk into a situation. And then also, by the way, usually the presidents are the ones that hire the athletic director. So it's kind of a time crunch right now in Baton Rouge. Now, they did come out and say this morning that, look, whatever Governor Landry said this week, it's not going to be held against. We're going to have the big contracts and the buyouts and whatnot. Pretty much they took a fire extinguisher to what Governor Landry was talking about this week about how these contracts are so out of control. And I think, to get back to the question I was trying to lay it out there is, I do think it's attractive still. I do think it's still LSU, one of the best college football programs in the country, in my opinion. Just looking at college football, okay, not looking at the whole athletic department, because that's a mess. But is Lane Kiffin in a month or so going to talk to Jimmy Sexton and be like, Jimmy, how's the situation down in Baton Rouge right now? Is it different than what's going on in Gainesville? Obviously, but I think that when we get down to the nuts and bolts of it, at the end of the day, I think this is still one of those jobs that you go after. The problem is you're going to have to navigate all of this nonsense going on right now. Because, again, brother, I'll get back to it. Like, even if you have a president, the president's not going to be on the job long enough. The AD's not going to be technically on the job long enough, because you're trying to hire a head coach probably in the middle of December, once the first round of the playoffs come to an end. We'll see what happens with Ole Miss and other schools. But this is a cluster, guys, and probably the craziest thing. I just wrote about it, and I think folks in the Middle Tennessee area and all your other affiliates will understand. It reminds me of 2017 when former AD John Curry flew out to California and was waiting on a park bench for Mike Leach to show up and said that he could be in contact because he didn't have Wi-Fi on the plane. Like, that's where we're at now.
Trey Wallace is with us here on Next Man Up. Trey, you mentioned LSU and you mentioned Lane Kiffin, and we had a caller kind of disagree with us here earlier, but do you think college football is just waiting on Lane Kiffin to set the head coaching market going forward?
I think it's going to be very, very tricky, because Lane and by the way, the whole circumstances around this, I don't know how long these schools are going to wait. And the only way that these schools are going to wait, and here's what I'm talking about, because we have our on-campus games in the college football playoff. That's going to be the middle of December. Then you're going to have quarterfinals. Then you're going to have semifinals. Lane Kiffin could be coaching Ole Miss, and he might end up staying, but he could be coaching Ole Miss until, I don't know, right when the transfer portal opens on the 4th or the 5th of January. So to me, that's what makes this whole thing intriguing, because how long is Florida? How long is, and I was about to say Ole Miss, LSU going to wait? I think there are going to be other jobs that open up in the next 2 weeks that are going to make this whole situation even more interesting compared to I'm looking at you, Florida State and Auburn, and maybe one other. So to me, we're in this different cycle right now. And I'm very curious how athletic directors are going to look at this and try to approach, because you guys know this. If, let's just say Lane Kiffin does leave Ole Miss for one of these schools, and let's just say they get bounced in the quarterfinals. Okay, well, the narrative around that's going to be, well, he really wasn't focused on Ole Miss. The outside distractions got to the football team. That's the reason why we lost. So I'm curious to see how far does the handshake deal go? And if he does decide to go somewhere, you got to keep that on the down low. Like, there has to only be like one or two people that actually know it's going to happen, because at the same time, guys, some of these schools are going to be punting on high school recruiting, because early signing day is first week of December. Okay, well, you're not going to have a head coach in by then. So what do you do about the high school recruiting part? To me, it's all fascinating. You'd have to go to the second date that would come up in February. And again, this thing is just all over the place because of the dates now that we have in the sport.
Trey, there's another guy out there in the coaching search that I think plays a bit of a role that people are kind of overlooking. His name is James Franklin. How much of a wrench do you think he could throw into some programs' plans in hiring a head coach?
Well, I'm curious if he's about to take the Virginia Tech job.
That too.
But I think James Franklin is going to be playing the waiting game here for a minute. Doesn't want to jump on something too quick. Like, unless he knows for a certainty that certain schools, even if they open up, like Auburn, let's just say Auburn opens up. Okay, so is Auburn going to go after James Franklin? Like, so you have to sit around and you wait. You can't tell Virginia Tech. And I know folks in Blacksburg have been putting out that, it's his job to turn down. Well, okay, that's fine. Yeah, obviously it would be his job to turn down if he's the one that's been talked to the most. But I don't think LSU is going to be a spot for James Franklin. I don't think Florida would be a spot unless they struck out on two or three of their candidates, a.k.a. Lane Kiffin, Eli Drinkwitz. I'll probably throw in another name in there. But I think where we are right now with Franklin is I think he's a very good football coach. I think he could go in and turn another program around. I think he would be a fantastic fit at somewhere like North Carolina. Like, in a perfect scenario, I think for North Carolina fans, is Bill Belichick just moves on after the season's over, and James Franklin goes in there and handles that. He already took care of Vanderbilt. He knows how to run an academic institution that also is wanting to get better at football. So I'll throw that one school out there that could make things interesting if the Belichick Jordan Hudson saga comes to an end. But yeah, Franklin's got options. I'm curious to see if he jumps on the first one, which would obviously be Virginia Tech.
Trey, getting to the Big Ten with the vacant head coaching position at Penn State, obviously when Dan Mullen was at Mississippi State, leaving after that, he was rumored with that Penn State job. Now that he's at UNLV, there's two ways I look at it. One is that he's mentioned to UNLV media before that I'm not going anywhere. To me, it just feels like it's a one-off thing. He's there for one season and tries to find a bigger job. Or if he stays, he could play it smart and play his cards right, where he's always in the playoff every year as a G4 or G5 school. I mean, how do you see that playing out? Could he be a potential replacement at Penn State?
You cut out on the name. You're talking about Dan Mullen, correct?
Yes, Dan Mullen.
Yeah. So I know his comments, like, what was it, a week ago, where he said, I'm not leaving UNLV, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All right, well, a lot of coaches say that. To come back and be offered $12 million a year, $11 million a year, and then tell me what you really think. I think that this coaching cycle the curiosity to me is because there are so many jobs that are open right now, and I think so many jobs that will come open over the next couple of weeks. I think Dan Mullen would be a great fit. I throw another name at you. It's not Penn State to me. What about Arkansas? Like, get back in the SEC. He knows the recruiting grounds. He could win, in my opinion, at Arkansas. And I'm not talking about college football playoff every year or anything like that. But he would at least know how to get back in the game. I do think that he would be an interesting fit for Penn State. The problem is it's all about perception for these jobs. So like the Matt Rule situation that happened yesterday where he signed an extension. Okay, well, Penn State's known about that for a week. They knew that Matt Rule wasn't coming. That's why they were interviewing other candidates over the weekend. So it's all about, some of these schools, I had an athletic director tell me this week. Some of these schools are going to hit doubles, and then they're going to try to turn it around and sell it as a home run. While I don't disagree with that sentiment, you have to be very, very careful with who you are hiring as a big school, because you're not only trying to turn the football program around, and Penn State really doesn't need to be turned around. They just need to win a couple of big games. But you got to sell season tickets. You got to get the fans motivated for it. You have to turn the narrative around your program in the sense of, okay, we're going to continue fighting. I think Dan Mullen would do that for the folks that know Dan Mullen. I think up there, it would be an interesting sell to me. And that's just my opinion. I think it could work, but I think he would be better suited and maybe getting back in the SEC, because if Lane leaves Ole Miss, okay, Ole Miss opens up. Who do they go after? John Summerall, probably be my first choice. But what if South Carolina were to open up? Man, Dan Mullen would be a nice little fit over there. So I think Dan Mullen's got options. I just hate he came out last week and tried to say, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying at UNLV. It's like, when did you ever think you'd hear those words out of a coach's mouth?
Trey Wallace of Outkick is with us. And Trey, we could spend all day talking about the coaching carousel because I think it's a very interesting conversation. But there are actual games being played this weekend, and among the biggest of them is taking place in Knoxville, Neyland Stadium. Tennessee and Oklahoma in what is essentially a playoff elimination game. Whoever loses is probably out. Who do you think, I don't want to ask you who do you think comes out on top, but what do you think the keys to victory for both teams are in this one?
To me, it's Oklahoma's walking in here and they're like, oh, look at that Tennessee secondary. All right, well, let's see what we can do through the air. The problem is John Mateer is not seeing the football field very well. And some people can blame it on his thumb injury. Some people can blame it on him rushing back per se and not being really prepared. But I think this is going to be an interesting battle on how Josh Heupel tries to open up the offense down the field against a really, really, really good Oklahoma defense. And at the same time, Tennessee's going to have to put a lot of pressure on John Mateer. They're going to have to force him into some bad decisions. I personally think we might see something like Ole Miss, Oklahoma, where the score could have been higher in that game. I think this turns into kind of a shootout here. Tennessee's going to try to go deep a number of different times and spread the field open and establish a running game. But looking at it just on paper as a CFP elimination game, which that's exactly what this is, I think Oklahoma kind of has the upper hand from a personnel standpoint. But, man, you add in what Joey Aguilar's been able to do. You add in the receiving core that seems to take a step against Kentucky. And trust me, I know it's against Kentucky. But at the same time, if you can establish something on the ground, man, that's gonna throw the Oklahoma defense for a curve a little bit. And I think Josh Heupel's been watching a lot of film on Lane Kiffin and what they did last week. So it's going to be fascinating. It's a night game. I was at the game when Oklahoma came to town with Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield won that one. I was covering it. Like, that was the loudest stadium I've ever been in my life. Tomorrow, you're giving fans about 13 hours to get lubricated before that game, and it's at night, and it's dark mode per se, and I just think the atmosphere is going to play a factor in this. I think Tennessee wins tomorrow. I think it's like a 45-41 game. I think it turns into a shootout.
Wow, interesting. Last one for you here, Trey. Vanderbilt, obviously one of those teams that's taken the SEC by storm. They're going into Texas tomorrow. It's an early game, 11 o'clock kickoff. What bodes well for Vanderbilt going into this matchup? Obviously, Arch Manning was in concussion protocol earlier this week. It seems like he'll play. Obviously, Diego Pavia has been the big story of potential Heisman candidate. Where can Vandy, I guess, solidify their game to where they can come out victorious?
Man, this one is fat. Look, I've covered 3 straight Vanderbilt games, and if you'd have put that on my 2025 bingo card before the season, I'd have probably called you crazy. But let me tell you something. I love this Vanderbilt football team. I said it after the Alabama loss. I was like, all right, just one loss. Like, they're going to be fine. They're going to bounce back. They're going to take this one to heart, and they're going to figure out a way. And what have they done? They did it. They beat LSU, and then they found a different way to beat Missouri. Like, I know the offense wasn't clicking, and I know Bo Pribula, Missouri's quarterback, went down, but they found a way, and that was a defensive performance, and I thought they played really well. You're going on the road. Arch Manning, I am told, is going to be a game-time decision tomorrow. which in my eyes, that's, the school throwing out a couple of different things and whatnot. I talked to a couple sources about it, and they think he could be able to go, but you take one hit, things can turn around. I just, after what we saw at Vanderbilt's offense last week, which did not have their best game at all, and they would be the first to admit it, and Diego Pavia said it afterwards. I think Vanderbilt goes into Texas and wins tomorrow. There's something about this Clark Lee team that has me peaking when it comes to my ears and it comes to what I'm seeing on the field. I think the defensive wise, like I said, they're going to get after Arch. My biggest thing is, can Diego Pavia escape the craziness that is the Texas defense? And if he can find ways to make plays outside the pocket, this thing can turn around. There's something about Texas, man. Like, to wrap it up here, guys, like, you get out of Kentucky with a win in overtime. You get out of, I was about to say Oxford, Starkville, with a win in overtime. Like, at some point, the dam is going to break on them. And I think Texas could probably end up dropping this game to Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt finds different ways to win. So, again, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way, just being honest with you guys. But Vanderbilt is heading into this game as an underdog, and I think Clark Lee and Diego Pavia use that to their advantage. Somehow they pull out a win in Austin and shock Longhorn fans.
He's Trey Wallace of Outkick, college football reporter for them, doing a great job for us, or with us, as always, not for us. Trey, appreciate the time. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you very soon.
Guys, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy college football, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Trey.
Thank you, Trey. He's man.
Trey Wallace.
He's the man. I could talk shop with him all day. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll step aside, come back, break down what Trey had to say. All coming up next, right here on Next Man Up on 1025 The Game. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game, Connor Newt, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. Appreciate Trey Wallace of Outkick for joining us in that last segment. We went a little bit long with him, but I think it was worth it. He gave some great stuff.
So much.
I got a lot to talk about on the other side of the break. Want to talk about Vanderbilt's matchup with Texas as they go on the road to Austin to take on the Longhorns in the playoff eliminator game. Oklahoma and Tennessee. A lot to get there. We'll do that on the other side here on Next Man Up. Connor Newt, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on 102.5 The Game. Next man up. Let me try that again. Next man up, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Hour number 3, final hour of the program on this Halloween day. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you. Fun second hour.
Next ma'am up is appropriate for when you're here.
Is it?
It is.
Because I'm next and I'm a man?
Ma'am. Next ma'am up.
Oh. Ah, good one. That's a great one.
Continuing with what we were talking about before, Connor, about we're talking about Vanderbilt.
Yes.
And there was some news that kind of came out, huh, man?
Yes. Why don't you regale us with said tale?
Yes. Pete Nakos on 3 Sports came out with a little bit of a story about not a story, but primarily just a quote from Vanderbilt. Clark Lee sitting at 7-1. His name is a popular name for this coaching carousel, obviously. But Candace Story Lee said and told on 3 Sports, quote, "We have the resources and commitment to make sure that we sustain excellence." Talking about Clark Lee and staying at Vanderbilt. And I'll say this about the NIL era and the change and evolution Vandy has adapted to and absorbed it in a roundabout way. They're adapting to the times, and they want Clark Lee, and they know that they're no longer a feeder system or a cupcake on somebody's schedule. So
they're nationally relevant.
Yeah, literally.
Which is kind of crazy to think about. If you were to ask me 2 years ago that Vanderbilt would be a heavy college football playoff contender and even nationally relevant, I probably would have laughed at you.
Yeah.
But here we are.
I mean, the fact that Candace Story Lee comes out and defends, Clark Lee as a head coach shows that the entire program is in the right direction. Not just football, but in total of Vanderbilt athletics.
And I'm going to say this.
Sure.
And I want you to look at me, and I want all of the YouTube chats popping right now with a bunch of Vanderbilt fans. So I want them to listen to me. I'm going to look directly into the camera while I say this.
Sure.
Vanderbilt fans, that quote that you just heard from Candace Story Lee tells you everything you need to know. Clark Lee, he ain't going anywhere. He's anchored down. That's it.
Okay.
He's not going anywhere.
Wonderful statement.
And you have the right to be excited about that because Clark Lee has brought this program, I don't want to say back to relevancy, but to relevancy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make the argument, the James Franklin era, they were relevant then. They were 9-win teams. But I would argue this era of Vanderbilt football has made them more relevant than they were then.
It's different. It's a
different vibe.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You have a Heisman level quarterback playing right now, which was never a thing in the Franklin era. And look, I don't want to say they're catching people by surprise, but how many people expected this to happen?
Like Trey Wallace said, if you would have had this on his bingo card, he would have called you crazy. And he made a great point about this upcoming game against, Texas.
Yeah.
And the fact that they could go in there. There's something about this team. They can just go in there and win. They've proved that they can bounce back from a loss against Alabama. And he's right about the Missouri game. They found a way. If Diego Pavia is not out there on the field during that Missouri game after Bo Prabula.
Let's say it together.
Prabula. The quarterback
Prabula.
After his injury, I think if Diego Pavia is not out there, that game is completely turned over on its head.
Yeah.
So the fact that Pavia is there being a difference maker, and forget the stats. This guy is a difference maker minus the stats. He's able to change the game. And that's
he controls that locker room.
And that's why Vanderbilt is where they're at today, including Clark Lee into that equation.
So let's talk about this.
Sure.
Big game for Vanderbilt on Saturday. Arguably, you could make the argument that if they win this one, they may be locks to make the college football playoff. They're on the road against Texas. And look, Texas has not been the team they were advertised to be, coming in at number 1 in the preseason AP poll. And then what are they right now? Number 20?
20.
Something like that. Yeah. However, I say this to say Austin is not an easy place to play. Those fans are loud. It's a tough environment. And quite frankly, Texas plays a lot better at home than they do on the road. That said, I think Trey Wallace kind of agrees with me. I think Vanderbilt can go in and win.
Yeah.
I think if they play their game and play the way that they're supposed to play, and I think, quite frankly, they have the better quarterback than Texas does, they can win. I think Texas's run defense is going to be tough to stop. They have an elite front line on defense. So it's going to be tough for Pavia to scramble outside of the pocket or even, Cedric Alexander to get decent run games, at least on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if they play controlled and the way that they're able to play, kind of like how they played at the end of that game in Missouri last week and the entirety of the LSU game the week prior, or 2 weeks prior, they had a bye after that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can go in and win. I really do.
My only issue I have with the way Vanderbilt plays right now, and it goes to Pavia about this, you go back and look at the Alabama game when they were trailing in some cases. Pavia forced the ball into certain windows that probably shouldn't have been forced, that led to either an interception or a turnover in some aspects. If he can eliminate those turnovers in pressured situations, this team can hang around. I think that if they control the clock, kind of what Texas did to Kentucky in that overtime game.
Thanks.
I mean, well, minus that. Kentucky had 37 minutes of controlled time.
Yep. And then they ran 3 straight plays on the goal line.
Right.
Of the exact same play.
Well,
thank you, Mark.
Reason being, what I'm saying is if Vanderbilt can hold on to 30 plus, minutes of possession, they can hang around. Obviously, Vandy wants this game bad because they knew last year they should have had it and it didn't happen. So the fact that they can go into Texas out of all places, that it's big, loud, everything's bigger in Texas in a roundabout way.
To play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Texas hasn't really seemed to come alive at all this season. They've had their flashes, they've had their moments, but the offense in general has not played to the level it was expected to play. And some of that is Arch Manning not being the quarterback he was advertised to be. Some of that is the play calling from Steve Sarkisian. He has not been the coach he was last year, in my opinion.
Sure.
I could see a world where this is the game Texas decides to come alive. Texas becomes the Texas Longhorns again. I could see that world.
I think the only way that comes true is if Matthew Caldwell starts for them, their backup quarterback. I mean,
really?
Yeah. I think the backup quarterback is a lot better than Arch Manning right now. Arch Manning is just having a tough time.
He looks scared.
It looks like he's not You're right, scared. He doesn't look like he's confident in the pocket where he wants to go with the ball. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure the guy has a high ceiling for sure, or just some form of a bright future ahead of him at Texas. But right now, it looks like the backup's playing better than him. I mean, it was only one pass that sealed the deal in Starkville in overtime, which was crazy to say. But the way that ball was thrown, it was on a dime. And obviously, Mr. State defense kind of folded a little bit, but
I'm still sorry.
It's okay. You have to look past that, obviously. But you look at this Texas team, and they just look like a more competent offense under Matthew Caldwell. Because there were times, I think it was the Florida game, if I'm not mistaken, where Arch Manning's helmet came off. Caldwell played about 2 plays, and it was like probably third and a mile maybe. They were on their own, I think, own 40, and they got the first down, and he kept rolling the ball, moving.
Yeah.
In the last 2-3 plays, when it was like 20 seconds left, that's when Arch went back in the game, and the pocket collapsed under him, couldn't really find anything.
His offensive line hasn't been up to par either.
Right.
So it's not all entirely him.
Right, but if your backup quarterback can find things that your starting quarterback can't, that leans to tell you something's different.
I'd agree with you. But to play devil's advocate again, how many times last year did we look at Quinn Ewers? And then when Quinn Ewers went down with injury, Arch Manning stepped in, and we thought Arch Manning looks way better than Quinn Ewers. He should be starting.
Yeah.
I think it's that backup quarterback bump.
Yeah, but also, too, if you look back at what Arch did last year, and this is off what my eyes tell me, I'm not looking at the scores, stat sheets, or anything like that. He ran the ball a lot more than he threw the ball.
He did.
Let's remember
You're
that,
right.
all right? This guy ran the ball a lot more than he threw the ball. He wasn't the pocket passer that I think he's being forced into throwing the ball this year. I think it's not really suiting his play a little bit. Obviously, you want your quarterbacks to throw the ball. That's what they're there for. But if the style is not fitting the way he's playing, then that might be something to look into.
Yeah, I would agree with that. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our text and phone lines brought to you by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, I should say. We'll talk about the playoff elimination game, so to speak. Tennessee, Oklahoma, live from Neyland. Dark mode jerseys out for the Tennessee Vols tomorrow. We'll do that coming up next. Plus, I don't know if you guys knew this. There's a Game 6 of the World Series being played tonight in Toronto, Canada, as The Rock would say. We'll talk about all of that coming up next, right here on Next Man Up on 102.5 The Game. Who is this? I'm blanking.
You don't know her? Think Justin Herbert.
Oh, Madison Beer. All right. Love me some Madison Beer. Welcome back in. Next man up here. You don't know Madison? I'll tell you in a second. Okay. Welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newt, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you. Madison Beer is Justin Herbert's girlfriend.
Okay.
And she is very attractive.
Okay.
She looks like Megan Fox. I'll show you in a little bit.
Good to go. Good to know.
Let's talk a little bit about the other team locally that has a big game this weekend over in Knoxville, Tennessee. I don't want to say good old Rocky Top, but it's Rocky Top, I guess.
Oh, no, it's very good.
It's
very good.
It's not good to me. I'm very mad at you because you put me through hell last week, so it's okay. Playoff elimination caliber game going on in Neyland Stadium Saturday night. Dark mode jerseys are out. It's Spooky Top, I think is what they call it. Nightmare in Neyland. I've heard numerous names.
I like that one better.
I like Nightmare in Neyland too.
The alliteration's great.
It is. Tennessee and Oklahoma, two playoff desperate teams. I don't think either team is capable of getting in at 9-3, best case scenario, of course. What's the thought on this one? Because I feel like I could go either way here. Neyland is a tough place to play, especially at night. Tennessee's offense is playing out of its mind right now.
Right.
On the other end, the defense has been awful. Awful, I should say. And John Mateer, I think, is a capable enough quarterback, although he's had his struggles, to carve up that defense and prove a lot of people wrong about him. People forget before the thumb injury, he was probably the leading Heisman candidate.
Yeah, he was. He simply was. Again, this is more of a Oklahoma thing than a John Mateer thing. They forced him back too early. They said it was like a 3 to 4 week return is what they were talking about.
He was rushed.
Yeah, and he was rushed, and I think it was like 3 weeks or 4 weeks right on the dot, and he didn't look ready. And again, when you force things and they don't, it's like I think TV said it yesterday. You're fitting a square peg through a round hole. It just doesn't fit. So I don't know. This game's interesting. Joey Aguilar has been very, very good for the Vols this year. Exceptional, honestly. Just this team in general, I feel like the Vols under Josh Heupel are able to do things offensively that they did with Hendon Hooker. There's just stuff that they're able to adapt to in a roundabout way. And sure, Brent Venables' defense is always good, and maybe they pose a little bit of issues for the Vols this Saturday. But other than that, I don't see the Vols struggling. I really don't.
Really?
I think they handle this game comfortably, maybe by 10 points.
I could see that. I think I'm leaning towards what Trey Wallace kind of told us, and that he thinks this is going to be a shootout offensively. I wouldn't go as high as he went. What did he say, 48-45 or something like that? Yeah, I wouldn't go that high. However, I think this is the kind of game that's going to go back and forth offensively. I would pick Tennessee to win just because I know the environment that they're playing in, and Josh Heupel doesn't lose to people in that stadium, not named Georgia, as I heard Joe Rexroad say this morning. But I think Oklahoma's going to give them a game. Now, I don't think with a win, this shores up a playoff spot for Tennessee. It's funny. I was getting a haircut yesterday, and there was a Tennessee fan next to me saying, yeah, we're nervous for every game, not named New Mexico State. And the hairdresser said, even Florida? And he's like, you don't understand. When we go to the swamp, we never come out alive, no matter how bad Florida is. So I could kind of see that. But I don't think a win for Tennessee would shore up a playoff spot. It would put them in a lot better position to make it. I heard the analytics this morning for Robbie. I think if with a win, they get like a 32% chance to make the playoff, which is not high numbers, but keep winning, it'll go high.
Yeah, it's closer than what you had before.
If they lose, it's a 2%. So they're basically out. I think Tennessee gets the win on Saturday. I don't think it's by much. I think it's by a field goal, but I think they do get the win.
My only issue out of this whole Tennessee playoff scenario is that Florida game. To me,
yeah, I think that's a trap.
I have Tennessee losing that game.
I do too.
At Florida. There's just something about Florida. They have Tennessee's number. And with that being said, then it leads to the last game of the season, Vanderbilt versus Tennessee in Neyland, I believe.
Yeah.
That to me, if Vanderbilt were to drop that game, say Vanderbilt wins out and they were to drop that game to Tennessee, I still think Vanderbilt's in the playoff.
And we haven't gotten the annual Vols road blunder.
Sure.
You could pick the Alabama game, but they were expected to lose that one. They were not favored in that game. And granted, they played a lot worse than I thought they would. But I think we're still expecting the annual Vols road blunder. I could see that being Florida.
Yeah. Florida is one of those teams that I've been saying ever since Billy Napier's been gone. They play differently. Like this is a team that's
it's the interim coach bump.
Yeah, it's the bump
that the Titans are apparently immune to.
Yeah, the Titans, they have other stuff. Trying to stay away from that because that gives me a
because
headache.
College football makes me happy
Exactly.
And the NFL makes me sad.
Exactly. Getting to the other side of all this, I know we're talking about Tennessee, Oklahoma. We just got done talking about Texas and Vanderbilt, but looking at that game way into the future, that's just me. I just look too far into the future with things. Tennessee, Vanderbilt, that is, to me, from a playoff perspective, if Vandy goes 10-2, again, I'm going to reiterate it, they still make the playoff if they lose to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And
they got to win out, though.
The one conference that I'm worried about that's going to put a wrench into everything is the Big 12. Because you have a three-headed monster right now with Cincinnati, Texas Tech, and BYU. BYU's undefeated. I believe they play Texas Tech tomorrow. Texas Tech is a one-loss team. If Texas Tech ends up beating BYU, both those teams have one loss. Utah has the night game. I believe that's game day. They take on Cincinnati.
Wish I could watch. I can't. Stupid YouTube TV.
No, you can still watch.
Yeah.
You just cable.
I don't have cable unless I come here.
Or a local sports bar, whatever it may be.
Looks like you'll be watching here tomorrow. The ACC too could do this.
You know, I actually will be here tomorrow. I have to do the Preds game, so that's a good point by you.
Because think about Georgia Tech.
That's a great point by you, John. Thank you.
If they win out, and then Miami could be in there. SMU, I believe they only have one conference loss at the moment.
Right.
They play Miami tomorrow, so I mean the ACC could cause a bunch of chaos as well.
Yeah. I just look at that Big 12 right now.
You got to factor in Notre Dame too.
That as well. If they win out, they have to win out. I mean, the Big 12 to me is so fascinating because Texas Tech all season long has been destroying teams by 40 to 50 points. Sure, they had that one loss to Arizona State, but minus that, if they can somehow keep it within one score possession for BYU's sake, BYU's happy with that because that looks better on their resume, schedule resume, that is. And then you go to Cincinnati, that is playing Utah tomorrow night at 9:15. That's a game to where Cincinnati wins. They still got one loss on their schedule. So now you have three teams with one loss, and then they all cannibalize each other because I believe Cincinnati takes on BYU second to last game of the season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So one of those teams, whoever wins that, keeps their playoff hope alive, and the other team's done. So then it comes down to BYU and Texas Tech, who both have already played each other. That gives Texas Tech the upper edge to get into the playoff, but yet you still have BYU, who is a one-loss team.
That's a phenomenal point by you.
So
the Big 12 can play a heavy. I don't think it's a one-bid league this year, to be honest with you.
For the Big 12?
For the Big 12. I think it's at least two.
Yeah.
They're not going to get more than three, but I think it's a two-bid league because last year the Big 12 was so bad that Arizona State was just kind of the last man standing getting into that playoff. And do I think they should have had the bye? No, thank God that situation has fixed itself, hopefully. But I think the Big 12 is a little bit deeper of a conference this year, with Texas Tech being as good as they are, with Utah being kind of the surprise this year. Cincinnati is even more of a surprise. BYU has been really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're going to get maybe two teams in. That's just my thought process here.
Interesting. Well, what about ACC? Parker mentioned it about Georgia Tech. Say Georgia Tech goes undefeated the rest of the way, and or if they see, this is my biggest issue with the committee. They say that conference championship games do not reflect how the rest of the seeding plays out. But we've seen it a little bit last year with SMU and Clemson. A little bit of that played a factor into it, in my opinion. And then, so going back into now, say Georgia Tech loses to Georgia at the end of the season with one loss.
Mm-hmm.
They go to the ACC championship game. If that is the case, they lose that game. I mean, that's the thing is if you go to an ACC championship or just any conference championship game, you could sit all your starters and lose the game because they say
you're probably in.
Because they say it does not reflect your schedule. I mean,
I think it should.
I think it still does. I think they're lying to you, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Let's go to some of your texts. 6641 says, I know it's the G5 bid, but got to bring up the Memphis Tigers when talking about playoff contenders. I think they are right in the mix for that G5 spot.
They got helped out last night
They did.
by Tulane.
They did. Tulane got the win last night. Or did they lose?
They lost. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
UTSA boat raced them. It was like
Roadrunners.
41-19 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
huge.
It's a two-boat race right now, in my opinion, between Memphis and USF, and Memphis beat USF. So I think you're right, Texter.
Don't forget about the midshipmen.
And Navy.
Navy's lurking.
Undefeated.
And
Navy.
they play North Texas tomorrow.
And Navy. Yeah, the midshipmen.
That'll be a fun game.
Horvath is a good quarterback. He's fun to watch. Fun offense. Jay from Laverne says, what's up with you guys talking about YouTube TV? I keep hearing y'all say something about it. He has YouTube TV. Jay, if you missed the news, it came out late last night, so I don't blame you if you missed it. ESPN and Disney officials,
ABC
affiliates, and YouTube TV are at an impasse as far as a contract negotiation. So ESPN, ABC, all the Disney affiliated channels are off of YouTube TV for the time being until they get a new renegotiated contract. So hopefully it's fixed by tomorrow morning. It's indefinitely out right now, so we don't know when it's going to be fixed, but this happens a lot, and it's usually fixed right before game time. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's up tomorrow.
It should be.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
Hopefully. I don't think it's a long-term thing, but I'm getting tired of this. Well, someone's upset with someone in TV, so we're going to take your channels. I'm like, should I just go back to cable at this point? Should I just do it?
Come back. It was never broken, so come back.
Let me get 2,000 more channels I'll never need for more money. But, I'm kind of considering getting the ESPN Unlimited thing at this point.
Is that where they combine with Fox One?
Yeah.
It's like $40 a month.
Yeah, it's too expensive. But like, I've never been one to get like a VPN or whatever it is that they have you do. Seems like too much of a hassle.
Right. It's too many hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
I get that. Hopefully this all gets sorted out, but
just make things convenient.
Yeah. But I mean, this is college football at its finest, though. You got to see all these key games, and if they can't get it in, then they can't get it in.
Yeah. It's greedy companies leeching off your money.
Indeed.
ESPN is the king of bad business deals. So
we'll see.
Let's not act like this on a thing. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you got some college football thoughts, we will get to them on the other side. Also coming up next, there's a Game 6 being played tonight in America's pastime. Game 6 of the World Series. Toronto leads the series 3-2. They have the chance to bring it on home tonight. We'll talk about that next. Coming up here on Next Man Up on 102.5 The Game. Great movie. Hocus Pocus. May need to watch that tonight. Welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you. Happy Halloween to you. Celebrate accordingly, however that may be. For me, it is putting a bowl of candy out, letting the kids take it, and just not paying attention to anything else in the world.
Making pizzas tonight. That's how I'm celebrating.
Yeah, you got an event tonight, don't you?
It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Tell everyone where you are.
I'll just doing a private event. That's all I'm doing.
Oh, it's private?
Yeah, it's a private event. It's fun. It'll be fun. Halloween.
Tell everyone your social security number, your mom's maiden name, and your
Yeah.
credit card number, please.
We're good. We'll pass. Now, you mentioned before the break, got a little something tonight, huh? A little baseball action.
We do. Game 6 of the World Series. Toronto leads the Dodgers 3-2 on the series. And I don't know, Nick Frazier. I want this to go to 7 games.
Mhm.
I really do, because it's been a really fun series. I mean, the 18-inning game comes to mind. Real one stayed up till 2 watching that.
Yep.
Did you stay up?
I did.
Did you stay up, Frazier?
I fell asleep in the 14th inning after Will Smith hit it to left field and he thought it was gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I stayed up because I had to. I was here. So,
Yeah, he
You
worked
were
the
here
game.
till 2 a.m.?
yeah.
Oh, because that's right. We were airing the game.
Correct.
Oh,
And we will be airing tonight's game
Yes.
on 102 The Game. I think pregame starts at 6.
Yep.
But
On 94 on the fan.
on 94.9, I think it's on.
It might be on 102.5.
It's on 102.5.
On the grid is a
Yeah.
little different. Sorry.
Yeah, it's here. It's on 102.5 The Game.
Gotcha.
But I think this is going to be a fun one. I feel like Toronto's going to bring it home tonight.
I don't think so.
Home crowd. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is playing elite baseball right now. I think Toronto has a better bullpen than the Dodgers do
Currently.
That said, LA has a guy on their team that no one else in the world has, and he's the best player in the world, and his name is Shohei Ohtani.
And all right, I'll get a little bit more into this right now, primarily because on the mound you have Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who pitched a complete game. I think 105 pitches in game 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So he was already on a couple days rest now. Now he's back in full rotation. This is a guy that can go all the way, like meaning can go a full 9 innings. Again, when you get to the postseason, this is one thing that backfired for the Dodgers last game when they had Blake Snell on the bump, was that I think he was continuously having good outings, like a good 6 innings, not letting up a lot of runs. Unfortunately, Toronto had his number that night, and that's what led to the catastrophe. And also coming off that 18-game swing or 18-inning swing, that's what really, you could tell there was a little bit of some fatigue going on.
Yeah.
Now, you make a great point about Ohtani earlier. He's not pitching tonight. No need to have him in the field.
He's DH'd.
He's DHing. And Corey Curtis made a good point about this Wednesday. I think you need to drop him in the lineup to either 2 or
Yeah, I
maybe
never
3.
understood why he's leading off.
I know why. It's the bottom of the lineup that's 7, 8, and 9. It has Pages along with Will Smith, I think, was batting 6th or 7th.
Tommy Edmonds down there.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Max Muncy, I think, is down there a little bit. But you have all those players that don't really hit great averages.
They need to load their lineup in the middle.
Yeah, but they've kind of,
because they've got that 1-2-3 punch. It's Ohtani, then Mookie Betts, then Freddie Freeman.
yeah.
I think you should shift that down on the middle, lead off with Tommy Edman because he has speed.
Yeah, see, when Tommy Edmonds was in St. Louis, he would lead off a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a really
exactly.
good thing. But looking at Ohtani at that one spot and dropping him to 2 or 3 would be perfect. I think 2 would be good, because say you lead off with Mookie and you have, say it's the 4th inning, you have Mookie on second, or you have Mookie at the plate, you have Pages on second and Muncy on first. You got 2 bases loaded, or I just go 1 base loaded. Let's say second base is Pages. You go walk Mookie, or Mookie gets walked, whatever. You can't walk Shohei Ohtani anymore.
No.
There's no open base. I mean, there is one at third, but you don't want to load it, because then right after that, you have what? Freddie Freeman. You don't want to load bases with Mr. World Series. I think he's coined now as Mr. World Series. So, I mean, you got to start calling him that. Ohtani is a difference maker. You can't be doing that. John Schneider's even said, yeah, be prepared for us to walk Ohtani more often. I'm like, it's the World Series. Go ahead and do it. That's going to hurt you in the long run.
Yeah, I heard Big Joe talking about this earlier. I'm walking him every single time. Why? Challenge the guy. Because he's capable of striking out. He is, in fact, human.
But I think in Joe's point, though, if it's working for Toronto, keep doing it. And I don't blame him there. But at the same time, this is something that you got to keep looking at when it comes to Ohtani at the dish. But again, Yamamoto is one of those players to me that I think his velocity increases as the game goes on. You get around the 4th or 5th inning, he's still throwing 97, sometimes ends up throwing 99. So that's something to look out for when you have him on the bump. And also too, like, even though the Dodgers right now, maybe not, they don't have the best pitching rotation when it comes to the bullpen, like that extra depth. I still think they can get it done from that perspective. They're going to put some runs up tonight. Kevin Gausman, who is a veteran pitcher, can definitely get the job done, but
yeah,
Dodgers, they've had his number before.
And it's worth noting, as the texter points out, Mookie hasn't been up to par this postseason. That's why he's probably been shifted down in the lineup.
Yes, that is true. Mookie always, I wouldn't say always, but in recent years, he's always performed well in the postseason. Like, sometimes he's gone through a slump in the latter half of the year. Like last year or the year before, he had 20 home runs at the All-Star break or something ridiculous like that.
Then he got hurt.
Yeah, because he was a part of the home run derby and all that fun stuff. But minus all that, he tends to go in strides, and I think this postseason has been a little bit of a lackluster performance from him.
Yeah.
But if you're Dave Roberts, you have to consider it. You have to consider dropping him in the lineup a little bit or putting him up in the lineup to set up a guy like Ohtani.
Yeah.
It's like being a point guard in basketball. You're dishing the assist to somebody else. That's what Dave Roberts is doing when he makes the switch. If he were to make the switch to put Betts at 1, Ohtani at 2 or 3.
It's kind of like hockey, right? You control your lineup based on what part of the lineup you think will be most effective. And I think I don't really understand. It's like in hockey, you don't want to front load your front line because then all your talent on the back end isn't as good.
Yeah.
The Dodgers are the same way here. You don't want to front load your lineup with all your best hitters, and then the back end is just guys that can't really consistently get the ball off the bat. You kind of want to disperse the talent, and the Dodgers have no shortage of talent. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Brandon in Hermitage on our phone line, or our text line, I should say. I've been a Jays fan for over 20 years. The Jays defense has been stellar, and tonight they will clinch with Kevin Gausman on the mound.
Okay. I like the confidence, Brandon. I really do.
I'm at a crossroads here because my heart says I want the Blue Jays to win. They're a team that hasn't seen a World Series in about 30 years. They're a fun team, and the Dodgers just won it last year. The American patriot in me wants the American team to win and the hometown boy and Mookie Betts to get himself another ring. So I'm at a crossroads here. I'm not sure what I want to happen.
Looking at this Blue Jays lineup, I made fun of it earlier in the week saying, what are they doing putting out this spring training lineup? Like, you have Ernie Clement out there. And of course,
half their lineup, like 70% of their lineup wasn't even on their spring training roster.
And of course, when I say Ernie Clement's name, what happens? He's having probably the best World Series performance for the Toronto Blue Jays. The guy consistently is on base. He gets hits. He has home runs. I believe he has 4 home runs in this World Series, if I'm not mistaken. So that's just something to look at. It blows my mind how a team that doesn't have the same payroll as the Dodgers, money can't get you everything. We get that. But like, the fact of the matter is the Blue Jays are playing against the I guess you could call them David versus Goliath in a roundabout way. That's essentially what this is. They don't have the same payroll, and it's working out for them right now. If Vlad Guerrero Jr. can consistently anchor this lineup at that 4 position in the lineup, that's solely what they need. They need production from their heavy hitters, and that's, Vlad Guerrero Jr. and also Bo Bichette, who's come back from his injury.
Bichette is back.
He's kind of been, a factor in some aspects too.
They are going to miss George Springer, though. I think that is something to look for. My dad on my personal text line is telling me how wrong I am. You need to front load your top 3 hitters. You want your 3 best because you want them to get the most ABs.
Right.
Which makes sense.
That's why they have Ohtani at 1, is because there's a continuous aspect.
But I hear you. If you shift him down to 3 or 4, they can't intentionally walk him, assuming the base is, even if you have 2 guys on base.
Yeah, I think the sweet spot is 2 and 3. 2 and 3 for Ohtani is where it's at, because 1, it stays in that same category that your pops is talking about when it comes to, more ABs at the plate. So that's something to look at for Ohtani.
Yeah. Oh, well, he also says if Mookie was actually hitting the ball, he would probably be leading off, which I would agree with. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Last call for your thoughts on anything. College football, the World Series, the Titans, which we'll get into. There's an interesting text on our text line. A texter asked us a question I want to get to wrap up the show, but we'll wrap things up Coming up next here on Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. Oh, hold on. You got to let this build. It's like Hollywood Hulk Hogan coming out. You know, Joe tells me no on-air time is wasted time. You got to let this one build out. And break. Welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you. Wrapping things up. One final segment on this beautiful Halloween Friday. It's a little cold, but at least the sun is shining. No more rain. It's a good day. Texter is asking, where is Jake? Jake is in Petty calling some women's basketball for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, indeed.
So we wish him well. Hopefully he knows the show is mine now.
He's probably enjoying Paris, man. I mean, I would too if I was living up there. I mean, imagine all the great food that's there, you know? I mean, good for Jake.
Quickly, let's go to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Say hello to our friend Keegan, who has a comment on the LSU job. Keegan, what's going on?
Not much, guys. I hope y'all are having a great day.
You as well.
You know, y'all in the studio that see my text, y'all probably know I'm a Memphis fan, of course. I'm trying not to be a homer with this, but I truly do believe if LSU were to swing and miss on the big names, Lane Kiffin's, Marcus Freeman's, hell, even Coach O, if they want to go that direction, if they swing and miss on those guys, I think an excellent hire for, I mean, he's already been linked to FSU with Norvell possibly leaving, but Ryan Silverfield from Memphis.
Yeah.
If you look at his career, back-to-back double-digit wins at Memphis, which is massive for that school, 3 straight bowl wins, 3 straight years in a row. He's had Memphis's highest-ranked recruiting class in history. So he's broke that mark and exceeded it for 3 years in a row. And I really do believe that he's kind of the guy that you got to give him a few years, get him in the building, let him build his culture. But once things start rolling for him, that building really buys into him and that team buys into him. He has NFL connections. He sent guys to the league. I just think overall, if LSU were to take a couple big swings and miss out, I think whatever school ends up with Ryan Silverfield will luck out. Kind of like I think someone was saying earlier, if some guys are going to hit a double and they're going to try to mark it off as a home run. I think Ryan Silverfield is a home run that people look at as a double.
Yeah, thanks, Keegan.
And that's kind of all I got. I'll let you guys have it.
Of course. Thanks, Keegan. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
He makes a good point. Ryan Silverfield, I think you could throw in the conversation for G5 coaches that are probably in the running for Power 4 jobs. I don't know if I would put him in the running for the LSU job, which is one of the mecca jobs of all college football, but I think it's a fair point, being as people are talking about John Sumrall maybe getting that job, Alex Golish, these other G5 coaches, ironically all playing in the same conference as Memphis. Maybe the American Athletic Conference is just a hot spot for Power 4 coaches.
And look, I kind of mentioned this with Trey Wallace about Dan Mullen. It was like a double-edged sword the way you look at it. If I'm Memphis, I'd offer Ryan Silverfield everything for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're going up in a G5 conference that you could be in the playoff every single year. Like, there's 2 ways to look at it. Either you could stay at your G5 school and you could go continuously to the playoff and have incentives in your contract to say, hey, here's extra $2 million if you make the first round of the playoffs. Hey, here's a $5 million raise to your contract if you get to the second round of the playoff. If you go to the national championship, here's $15 million guaranteed. If you win the national championship, here's $20 million guaranteed, or some ungodly number. If you're a G5 school and you win the college football playoff championship, say it's $50 million. They're now stuck with having to pay you $50 million. So in a roundabout way, you're the guy in charge. You're the guy that's dictating your entire contract. So that's something to look at.
Yeah, but to his point, if you're a good G5 coach, chances are you're probably not going to be a G5 coach.
Yeah, I mean, I understand
you're probably working towards a Power 4 job. And I think he makes an interesting point on somewhat of a deeper level.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't necessarily throw Ryan Silverfield as an LSU top candidate.
I just see more value in getting more money out of the G5 schools if you're a coach. That's just me. I just see more value that way. I mean, sure, you can go after your marquee job like an LSU or a Clemson or wherever it may be, and it'll be, a lot of money. But I just see more value in the small stuff.
Quickly, before we wrap things up here, Texter asks, what is your wish list for future head coach of the Tennessee Titans?
Wish list.
Give me 3 right now before we wrap it up.
Robert Saleh, Mike McCarthy, and I don't have a third one. Arthur Smith. There you go.
Joe Brady, Mike McCarthy, Matt Nagy.
Okay.
They'll do it.
Fun.
Well,
Great.
it's been
Well,
fun.
yeah, it's
Nick
been
Frazier.
great, man.
Happy
Hey.
Halloween to you, man.
Same here. Same here.
Enjoy your thing tonight.
Thank you.
That'll do it for us here on Next Man Up. He's been Nick Frazier alongside Behind the Glass doing the ones and twos. Parker Kelly. My name is Connor Newt saying so long. Stick around. Chasing Big Joe coming up next right here on 102.5 The Game.